award information, A, award type amount. Funding will be provided in this form of the grant. Approximately $100 million expected available funding. Approximately 25 grants you may be applied to the grant amounting ranging to $2.5 to $5 million. We will not fund any project less than $2.5 million above the ceiling or above the ceiling of $5 million. Applications are request the funding to demonstrate the scope scale of the project. Projects must clearly demonstrate the ability commitment to train significant numbers of new apprenticeship scale member programs statewide, multiple state, regional, national level. Demonstrate the grant request could result. This could include, but not limited to, scaling industry through the industry association, multiple employer partners through a national employer looking to expand apprenticeship, additional facilities, locations, employers that are part of the supply chain, state-led, regional-led, or local-led apprenticeship initiative that will implement apprenticeship in support of state, regional labor market needs. To ensure the grant funds result in services in sufficient numbers in apprenticeship, we say establish the goals and minimum numbers of apprenticeship to be served during the period of the performance based on the amount of funds requested by the applicant. See table below. The number of apprenticeships served by the show reflect the individuals who received the grant from the funding of services in support of the apprenticeship training. The program that meets the needs of the standards of registration of the U.S. Department of Labor, the federal recognized state apprenticeship agency. Therefore, the goal does not include individuals served for the pre-apprenticeship or other grant activities outside the registered program. The table below represents minimum level apprenticeship to be served on the funding request. Project goals include estimated numbers of apprenticeship to be served must be included by the project narrative described in more detail expected outcomes and outputs under the section 4 B3 project narrative. Department of Labor recognizes underrepresented, hard-to-serve populations may require more expensive service delivery strategies to create greater access to quality apprenticeship. In addition, with the apprenticeship training strategy frequently the higher upfront costs compared to the less intensive training operations. This grant investment intends to offset the cost of the training to play a catalytical role in American apprenticeship expansion. This would essentially the applications require adequate level of resource to accomplish the project's overall goals and milestones. Public-private leverage resources must be sufficient to allow all apprenticeships to successfully complete the training. The minimum goals of apprentice services during the grant period based on the funding requested $2.5 million to $3 million is the $300 apprenticeships served, 300 to 400 to 600 apprenticeships served, 4 million to 500 is thousands apprenticeships served. Always made under the announcement that if subject availability of the federal funds and in the event of the additional funds becomes available, we reserve the right to search for such funds to select additional grantees for the application submitted in the response of the announcement. The period of performance the period of performance is 60 months. The performance period includes all necessary implementation startup activities. The process of the development registration should be immediately apprenticeship enrollment should expedite the exemptions of apprenticeship enrollments to begin in the first 12 months of the grant. 3. Eligibility information partnership, primary partnership in keeping the authority with the provided Congress of the American Competitive Work Improvement Act. Grants under this program will award the partnership to private or public sector entities. The Employment Training Agency seeks a diversity of partners and partnership structures and support innovation. Seek diverse approaches. Primary partnership must include at least one public and one private sector entity. The eligible consideration applications must include at least one of the following: the private sector, a business consortium of the business-related nonprofit organization, a private organization function of the workforce intermediate for the express purpose of serving the needs of the benefits. The public sector, and at least one of the represented one of the following type of the entities: 1. Workforce investment system. 2. The public education training provider. 3. The Department of Labor recognized in state apprenticeship agency, the apprenticeship agency in 25 states, the District of Columbia, the Guam. Eligibility: private sector, public sector entities that are further described in Section 3A, the 1A and 3A, and 3A2, the FOA. The partnership between the private entity and the public business-related entity described in Section 3A1 of the public entity described in Section 3A2 will be considered the primary partnership. An eligible entity cannot serve as more than one type of the entity for the purposes of the meeting of the minimum requirements for the primary partnership. 1. The eligible private sector entity, the private partnership, primary partnership, the business consortium of business not related, nonprofit organization, private organization function as workforce intermediate express purpose of serving the needs of the benefits. The primary partnership must include one or more of the following: a business of one of the additional and 3 required participating employers, consortment of the business-related nonprofit organization, private organization function as workforce intermediate for the express purpose of serving the needs of the needs of the business. Business-related nonprofit organization include trade industry associations such as local chambers of commerce, small business federations, labor management organizations. Organizations function as the workforce intermediates express purpose of serving the needs of the business, including labor unions, labor market, labor management organization, industrial associations, community-based organizations, private nonprofit service providers. As discussion of the 3A and A business-related nonprofit organization. Nonprofit organization function as a workforce intermediate express purpose of serving the needs of the business. May act as the lead application for the profit while for-profit private business or for-profit consortium business can be entitled included by the primary partnership, but they may not be the lead application. Any organization can provide expertise and skill needed for the workplace, business association, lended expertise and the skills development, defining the program goals and activities identified by the necessary skills, competency, providing the resources, support of the educational training such as equipment, instruction on the job later on, or other workplace learning activities, providing association with the American Apprenticeship Program, design implementation. 5. The higher qualified apprenticeships. 6. Helping to solicit employer feedback of the skills of the competency of the work and the completing training. Organization function of the workforce intermediates of the express purpose of serving the needs of the business. May lend to the expertise by having credibility of employers or workers servicing as a partner coordinated with the management service organization. 3. Bringing together with partners to plan and govern, manage, track performance of the customized service to program participation employers. A full list of U.S. Department of Labor recognized state apprenticeship agencies. Please select visit Department of Labor Employment Training Agencies.gov/OA State Agencies CFM. 2. The eligible public sector entities of the primary partnership. At least one of the public sector entities of the following listed must include the primary partnership. Any of the following public workforce and state entities are eligible for lead applications. Eligible entities to become part of the primary partnership. The Work Investment Investment System. Organizations involved by the Administrative Work Investment System and established in Title I of the Workforce Investment Act includes state and local workforce investment bonds of the American Job Center operations as discussed in Section 121 Workforce Investment Act of 1998, 29 U.S. Standard Code 2841, and Section 121 of the Work Innovation Appropriation of the Innovation Opportunity Act of 2015, the WIOA 29 U.S. Standard Code 3151, and the Indian and Native American entities as discussed in Section 166 Workforce Investment Act 29 U.S. Standard Code 291, and in Section 166 of the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act 29 U.S. Standard Code 3221. The organization has expertise in workforce development and may provide leadership and implementation following the following types: understanding and analyzing the need for education and training of the local labor market, regional economy, and identifying target industries, occupational region, cluster hiring needs and populations to be served, and providing relevant source and including labor marketing information, other tools and reports for the assessing and potential participation of the grant program, identifying and referring candidates, education training of the grant program, providing the additional support services, connecting the placing and participation for the employers of registered apprenticeship, and collecting the tracking and reporting participation of the employment training agency. Education training providers. For the purpose of the funding of the opportunity applicant, I guess, eligible education training institution includes state college consorted or coordinated entities of the community college system, office, the single state educational board institution, higher education as defined in Section 102, the higher education of 1965, the Title 20 U.S. Standard Code 1002, the joint labor management training partnership, the nonprofit community-based organization that offer the job training of the organization have been approved by the eligible training providers under Section 122 of the Workforce Investment Act of 29 U.S. Standard Code 2842, the Section 122 Workforce Opportunity Act of 29 U.S. Standard Code 3152. For profit education training providers cannot be the lead application section of the 3B, and also do not account as public entities. Industrial institution of higher education include public and other nonprofit educational institutions. Eligible institution must accredit, but closing date of the funding of other opportunity authority by national recognized accreditation agency association recognized by the U.S. Department of Education. A database institution of accredited by the bodies recognized by the U.S. Department of Education can be found by the OPE.ed.gov accreditation. Generally, institutions of higher education, including 2-year to 4-year colleges, universities, institutions serve as minorities serving, including higher black colleges, university, tribal colleges, university, Hispanic serving institutions, Asian American and Native American Pacific Islander serving institutions, such as designated U.S. Department of Education at www.2ed.gov about offices list of OCRs/ED lights, minority instruction, HTML, among others. Training providers described above provide a range of customizable short-term as well as long-term training education programs that may result in the industry. Recognized credentials may include the basic skills and training, technical skills of supportive services, workforce development, and services. State apprenticeship agencies on the projects according to 25 states and District of Columbia, Guam, and utilizing such agencies recognized in the U.S. Department of Labor. The department anticipates the state apprenticeship agency will play the leadership role in the statewide application. State leadership will ensure that there is significant infrastructure, including staffing, in place, and the management support American apprenticeship expansion strategies and to define the applications. The Fitzgerald Act, also known as the National Apprenticeship Act, officially authorized and established National Apprenticeship System Act of the GAVE and the U.S. Secretary of Labor Authority registered apprenticeship program established in the Office of Apprenticeship with the U.S. Department of Labor provided the recognition of the state apprenticeship agency to register the administrative of the apprenticeship program for the federal purpose. Find a complete list of the Department of Labor recognized state apprenticeship agencies at Department of Labor eta.gov/OA state agency CFM. The 25 state plus District of Columbia, Guam, and recognized state apprenticeship agencies as defined in 29 Code Federal Regulation 29.2. These states' apprenticeship are defined in the agency, state government responsibility, accountability, apprenticeship within the state, federal purposes. Other state apprenticeship agencies which has been properly constituted under acceptable and executive orders may be recognized as Office of Apprenticeship authorized to the register overseas apprenticeship programs agreement of the federal purpose. The agencies may serve as the lead application, satisfy the public at any primary partnership. State apprenticeship agencies can assist with developing registered apprenticeship programs meeting the federal state standards. These also key role of protecting safety and welfare apprentices, including issuing national recognized portable certificates and completion to apprenticeships, promoting developing new programs, marketing the technical assistance, assuring the programs provided with high quality training, assuring that the programs produce skilled, competent workers. In the remaining 25 states, the Department of Labor Administration apprenticeship program will work with the American Apprenticeship grantees, the registering program developed as part of the project. Eligible lead applications grants will be awarded. Lead application with the primary partnership will serve as the grantee have over official administrative responsibilities. The grantee, the lead application must be a public nonprofit organization that meets the definition of one of the types of type of eligible entities. Eligible public sectors, private sector entities described in Section 3A1 and 3A2. The two exemptions of which entitled the eligibility of private partnership the two exemptions which are entities eligible to primary partnership but not eligible to apply for the lead application. For a private business, for profit consortium business, or for profit business organization cannot be the lead application. For the profit education training providers, that cannot be the lead application. Eligible cannot serve as more than one type of entity. The purpose of the meeting of the minimum requirements for the primary partnership, the lead application organization specified in Section 8 of SF 424 application form will be at the point of the contact department of the receive the respondent inquiries communication of the federal funding opportunity authority and of the subsequent grant. The entity of the authority withdraw and draw down the funds of the Department of Health and Human Services Payments and Management, HAHPMS. The entity responsible for submitting the Department of the deliverable grantings, including technical official reports, must related to the project, regardless of the partnership member that perform work for the entity's request, and they agree to the revisions amendment to the grant arrangement of the statement of work. The entity overall responsibility carrying out the project functions of the grantees as well as the stewardship expenditures of the grant entities responsible for coordinating the new national evaluator and including including the partnership random assignment evaluation. Other studies is selected by the Department of Labor of the entities responsible for working the Department of Labor to close out the grant. To say the other optional partners, in addition to primary partners, we strongly encourage applicants to collaborate with public and private partnerships, which may appropriate subgrantees depending on the project's design. The partners may include businesses above and beyond three required employer partners, business intermediates, for example, manufacturing extension partnership for the manufacturing industry workforce, and intermediates, intergovernmental organizations, economic development agencies, state and local governments, funding, and the philanthropical organizations partnering with leveraging resources of federal funding in the programs were allowed law-authorized grants such as grantees and may include the Department of Labor of grants, adult basic education, vocational rehabilitation, state grants, temporary assistance need for families, Social Security, disability, small business development centers, federal financing such as Pell Grants, federal work study, GI Bill benefits for veterans, as well as the programs administrative of the Department of Education, Human Health and Human Services, Housing and Urban Development, Commerce, Transportation, Energy, etc. Community-based, faith-based advocacy organizations with proven capacity to reach engage individuals underserved populations, including women, young women, women of color, and persons and disability veterans, including transition service members, and among others, as they key provider of basic skill training, technical skill training, support services, work for the development of services in communities across the country. Examples include the National Disability Organization, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, LGBT organizations, or organizations dedicated to support the people of color, etc. Other providers of supported services such as financial counseling and behavioral health. D. The cost of sharing matching. The cost of matching funds are not required of the program. The cost of sharing of the match is not one of the application screening of the criteria. Please note that the other sources contributed to the project consorted with the leverage resource do not constitute as cost sharing or matching funds. Applications will be scored and based on strength level resource and leverage resources considered the critical component of the project design. More information on leverage resources may be found in Section 4B2 project budget. Other information. 1. Application screening criteria. Should the checklist below guide with a prior application package to ensure the application has meet all the screening criteria? Note that the checklist is only an aid of the application, should not include the application package. We urge that the checklist to ensure your application contains all the required items. If the application does not meet all the screening criteria, it will not move forward through the merit review process and will not be considered for funding. The deadline of the submission requirements are met. If the submitted grants, components of the grants, components of the application saved in the specific formats are not corrupt, then we will attempt to open the document. Will not take additional measures to the event the problems with the opening. Applicants submits no more than one application as the lead applications in response to the funding of the Funding Authority Act. Application request is not below $25 million. Does not exceed the ceiling amount of $5 million. Application has registered in SAMS but maintains an active account. Note that allow proper lead time for registration. Signed SF 424 application of federal assistance includes a dumb number, budget information form, budget narrative, project narrative, and an abstract. Number of applications to be submitted may only submit one application as a lead application response to the FOA. However, you may include a partner in one or more of the applications submitted where you are not led to the application. Application submitted with the application as lead, but the application will consider non-responsive, but none of the applications will be considered for funding. Eligible participation will eligible receive the training. Participation served by the project can either youth at least 16 years of age not currently enrolled in school in the local secondary education agency of a high school or at the least of 18 years of age. One of the key goals of the American Apprenticeship Initiative is to open up the access to apprenticeship opportunities underrepresented populations. Therefore, the project demonstrates the strategies employ the training underreserved population apprenticeships such as women, young women, women of color, persons of disabilities, low-skilled population, veterans, including transforming services. Other project design requirements in Section 4B3 of the project narrative strategy shall include the use of on-ramps in the American apprenticeship, such as integrated, accelerated pre-apprenticeship strategies that reduce the barriers underrepresented population faces of pursuing the careers and the higher growth occupation of the particularly information technology occupations that use information technology service to other industries, but not limited to advanced manufacturing, business services, and healthcare. Veterans priority participation, the legal requirement funded in 38 U.S. Standard Code 4215. The grants must provide a priority service of the federal of veterans and spouses of certain veterans the receipt of the employment of the training placement services and job training directly funded with the whole part of the Department of Labor. The regulations implementation prior to service cannot be found in Title 20 Code of Regulation Part 1010 in the circumstances where the grant recipient must be between two qualified candidates for services, one or more of the veteran eligible spouses. Veteran priority services provision for the grantee recipient give the veteran's eligible spouse prior of service first of the providing him or her the service to maintain the private service veteran spouses meets the program's eligible requirements. Grantees must comply with the Department of Labor guidance of veterans priority, the Employment Training Office employment guidance of the letter of the TEGL number 1009 November 2009. The employment guidance provides guidance for the implementing prior to the service of the veterans eligible spouses. All qualified training programs found in the whole part of the Department of Labor of the ETA's training and employment guidance of number 10, November 10th, 2009 is available at WDRDOLETA-gov Directive Correspondence Documentation CFD number 2816. The 4 application submission of information.